5 reasons how your shyness can be your superpower when it comes to dating. My name is Hayley Quinn, I am a dating coach and actually quite a shy and introverted person when I'm not on YouTube. And funnily enough, some of the questions I get asked about dating a lot from people can come down to the fact of asking, how do I overcome my shyness before the date with someone? Or how do I become more extroverted? Or how can I try and be a bit more charismatic? It seems that sometimes when it comes to nerves and shyness and introversion in the area of dating, we generally see all of these qualities as really negative, and we see being extroverted and outgoing as positive and good for flirtation and dating. My intention in this video is to speak to all of my other introverts out there and to show you how actually being shy can be a superpower in the area of dating. Way that your shyness can be a superpower, number 1, is I want you to uncouple the idea that being shy means being bad at dating. Like, because I'm shy, I'm not a good conversationalist. I'm not a good flirt. I'm not attractive. Being shy actually doesn't mean any of those things. Just because you're an introvert doesn't mean that you can't go and do things. You may do things in a different way to someone who's extroverted, but it doesn't mean that all of those things are out of your reach. So instead, I want you to start to think about actually the ways that shyness and introversion can be quite powerful in terms of communicating attraction to someone, and to realize that just because you identify as being an introvert doesn't also mean that you have to identify as someone who can't do something. Second way that shyness can be your superpower. So when it comes to really owning your shyness, you want to go about dating in a way that works for you and is congruent to you. There's a phrase I think which is like, don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. So don't judge your worth or goodness as a person to date or to be with by the standards of whether you can act in a way that's extroverted. That just might not suit you. However, you may be able to start to think about ways to go about dating that suit you better. Shy and introverted people tend to work better one-to-one. Because you tend to be better one-to-one, you could think, okay, how do I create that opportunity for myself? It could be that you choose to meet people more in daytime settings. As we know, in nightclubs and bars, people tend to be in groups, and that might feel a bit more overwhelming for you. But even if you are, say, at a networking event or a bar and you want to chat to a group, if you do find someone you like, it can be quite easy to say, well, you know what, I'm a bit thirsty. Let's go grab a drink from the bar. Or actually, I think there's a really great view over there. Let's check it out. So you can use tools to create one-on-one time with a person, which is where you know you'll excel. So don't become preoccupied by a need to become ultra socially attractive or become super good in groups. Instead, try to think about channels where you can meet people, which will enable you to meet them one-on-one. You also want to meet people in a way that will feel congruent to you. So you may have watched some videos on YouTube which show usually men, no, not always if you watch my channel, approaching women on the street and running up to them and stopping them. Now that can feel great and that can really work for some people. If, however, you just go, I could never see myself being that guy, I really don't identify with it, or I really can't imagine being that woman who's really good at just flirting with someone. Instead, again, of seeing that as something you can't do, think about a way that you could do that is going to be more congruent for you. So whilst, okay, if you're, particularly for the guys out there, maybe walking up to a woman on the street and stopping in the street doesn't feel like you right now. Maybe a step towards that is to start to get used to, taking your laptop and going to coffee shops. It could be going around art galleries. It could be just getting more used to chatting to people in other more low-key scenarios. It could be that if you're both waiting at a bus stop, you strike up a conversation with the person next to you. There are other ways to go about meeting people which will feel closer to who you are as a person, which you will be able to adapt and you will be able to use. Likewise, if you're a lady and watching this video and you think, well, Hayley, I love the idea of your stuff around starting conversations with guys, but can't really see myself doing that right now. Again, think about what the adaptation is there. Instead of going right in at the deep end of thinking about how to kickstart conversations with a guy, could you instead think about how you can use your body language to signal that you're open for him coming to say hello to you? something is better than nothing. So we always want to find a course of action that is congruent to you and enables you to take that step towards being more open to meeting people, but doesn't necessarily mean that you have to suddenly overnight mystically change your personality. Finally, if you are introverted and you find even just going on dates quite intense, that period of time that you spend one-to-one, another good practical step that you can take is simply just to keep your dates a bit shorter. Go and hang out with someone for like 90 minutes or 2 hours. And when you're going on those dates, do something that's activity focused, like walking around a market or going for a walk along the river. As you're walking and talking, there's less direct pressure on you than when you're sat opposite somebody in a restaurant. It's easier to think of things to say. And then also, by having a time limit on your dates, whilst that might not be the most spontaneous or romantic thing to do, if it helps you to feel safe and secure because you know actually you're just going to have to put yourself out there a little bit and then you'll be able to chill out again, that might enable you to gradually open up to someone in a way that just feels so much more comfortable to you. Ways shyness can be your superpower number 3. I also would encourage you to let the people that you're dating and meeting know about your shyness and communicate around that in a way that shows flirtation and self-esteem. And yes, this is entirely possible. Sometimes a person may misread shyness or introversion as you being just not that into them, when in fact it could just be part of your natural process of opening up and how you prefer to get to know people. However, if you give someone that little bit of user manual and a bit of guidance on who you are, they will be able to understand your actions far better. So maybe more for the ladies out there, if you say something like, I actually just love to take my time getting to know someone, or I just take my time to open up, but I will get there in the end, or I do feel a bit shy sometimes, or I don't know why I'm feeling really shy. If you say any comment like that, first of all, it's flirtatious. Guys will love it. Secondly, he will then understand that maybe the reason you're taking things more slowly or only hanging out with him for 2 hours, or you're not being all that chatty when you first meet, isn't because he's doing something wrong or because you don't like him. That is just who you are as a person. And with that information, he's going to feel more motivated to keep seeing you, particularly if you put it across in a way that is flirtatious. And even for the guys out there, you may not think that shyness is traditionally seen as a sexy quality by women. However, there are ways you can phrase this which are going to make it really attractive. Say you go on a date with a woman, what actually trumps confidence in terms of attractiveness is courage. So I would advise you to take ownership of some aspects of your shyness. So if you go on a date with a woman, she's like, wow, this is a really nice place you chose. You could say, good, you know, I'm going to be open with you here. I was actually a little bit nervous about meeting you tonight. If you can say, you kind of make me shy. I was actually a little nervous about meeting you. I was a bit unsure about it. If you can own that, but if you can manage to say that whilst keeping eye contact with her, speaking slowly and really projecting your voice, instead of it sounding like, oh, you're so lame, you got shy, it will sound actually like, you know what, you're a really authentic guy, you're really congruent, you've got nothing to hide, you're being really open, and if anything, that will speak of a deep self-esteem and confidence to her. So remember, for all my shy and introverted friends of the world, it doesn't mean that you can't date successfully because you're shy. It doesn't mean you have to change who you are. It's not that extroverts are the only ones out there that get to be attractive. Instead, I would highly advise that if you are shy, first of all, instead of seeing shyness or introversion as can't date or can't meet people, think of it instead of adapting to finding ways that are congruent to you to meet people. Look at those channels to meet people that are going to play to your strengths of preferring to talk to someone one-on-one, or meeting people in more low-key and less hectic environments like the daytime. Also consider things like keeping your dates a little bit shorter so that you feel less intensity around them. And finally, remember to own up to your shyness and give the other person an insight into who you are, and do it in a way that shows playfulness, self-esteem and charisma in your own right. If you've loved this video about shyness and want to hear more about what I do, I've got a great course for men and women. It's really unique and it's called Unite. It's the first course of its kind, which not only teaches you as a man or a woman the A to Z of how to go out there and meet people, I also will show you the equal and opposite modules I'm teaching to the other side of the equation. So you get a really amazing insight into how the other half thinks and feels and what he or she really wants. If you're interested in that, head to the links below. And I hope you've liked this video. Give it a like if you are an introvert too who believes in your own superpower. Give it a share, give it a notification on this channel, subscribe, all that good stuff. My name is Hayley Quinn, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.